All right, let's dive into a story. One of the most incredible transformations in all of human history. Seriously, it sounds like something out of a legend, but I promise you every single bit of it is true.
Okay, so this is where it all starts, with a boy who has absolutely nothing. This kid, this slave, totally broken, is somehow going to end up owning half the known world. You gotta ask, right? How on earth does that happen? Well, let's get into it. So to really get the man, you have to understand the boy. And his story, wow, it kicks off in the brutal, unforgiving world of the Mongolian steppe. And this is a really important point. The kid who would one day be Genghis Khan. He wasn't born a prince, no silver spoon here. He was born into hardship, and almost immediately, he was shoved to the absolute edges of his society, an outcast. And just like that, his whole world just collapses. I mean, in a heartbeat. First, his dad, who was a minor clan leader, gets poisoned by rivals. And then, his own tribe decides he and his family aren't worth the trouble and just abandons them. That's basically a death sentence out on the steppe. So it's just him, his mom, and his siblings totally alone, trying to survive when nobody wants them to. And just when you think it can't possibly get any worse, it does. Being an outcast was bad enough, but what happens next? This was rock bottom.
I mean, the level of desperation here is hard to even wrap your head around. Forget hunting deer or anything like that. Survival was about scrounging for, well, for anything. The historical records are pretty clear on this. He was so poor, so hungry, that he was eating field rats just to not starve to death.
And then, the one thing he still had, his freedom, that was gone too. He gets captured, and get this, by the same clan that kicked him out in the first place. The outcast boy was now a slave. And his slavery wasn't just, forced labor. It was brutal and public. They put him in this thing called a wooden collar, a king. And its purpose wasn't just to keep him from running away. No, it was all about public humiliation. It was this heavy wooden sign for everyone to see that you were less than human.
Just try to imagine that for a second. You're trapped, you're being publicly shamed, and you're completely alone. The history books say everyone mocked him. Nobody, and I mean nobody, looked at this kid in a wooden collar and thought, there's a future leader. All they saw was a total failure. A joke.
But here's the thing. Something was changing inside that boy. Every single insult, every bit of pain, it wasn't breaking him. It was forging him. Like steel. This is it. This is the moment the whole story pivots. The victim starts becoming the victor. And his comeback story, it's just this methodical, almost unbelievable climb. First, he pulls off this daring escape. Then, he starts building an army based on who's good and who's loyal, not who your dad was. And with that army, he starts uniting all these warring Mongol tribes. Once he got them all on the same team, he looked at the rest of the world and thought, okay, let's go. I mean, just look at this contrast. It's night and day. On one side, you've got the boy, mocked, enslaved, a total outcast. And on the other, the man he becomes, feared, a powerful ruler, the great uniter. It's got to be one of the most jaw-dropping turnarounds in all of history. And his ambition? Wow, it was just boundless. Starting from basically the middle of nowhere in Mongolia, his armies just stormed across Asia and crashed right into Europe. They built an empire that stretched from the Pacific Ocean all the way to Central Europe. Just think about that map for a second.
So, let's just boil it down to this. The kid who ate rats, the boy everyone laughed at while he was stuck in a wooden collar, that kid went on to build the single largest land empire the world has ever seen. Not one of, the largest, ever. Just let that sink in for a minute.
So yeah, it's an amazing story of conquest. But honestly, the real power of his life story isn't just about the battles he won. It's about what it can teach us, right here, right now.
So what's the lesson here? What's the takeaway? I mean, why are we still talking about this guy more than 800 years later? It's because his story taps into something really fundamental about being human.
And here it is, the main point. The biggest lesson from his entire life is this. Your past does not define your future. It's so simple but so powerful. Where you start out doesn't have to be where you finish. Your circumstances, your screw-ups, your history, they don't get to write the end of your story. You do.
Just think about what that means. His life is proof that being resilient can smash through any hardship. It's proof that your situation right now does not dictate your destiny. And maybe the most important thing of all, it proves that real greatness can come from the absolute lowest, most hopeless places imaginable.
So, I'm going to leave you with a question. We all have things that hold us back, right? Our own versions of that wooden collar. Maybe it's self-doubt, maybe it's a mistake you made, or a situation that just feels impossible to get out of. The story of this kid from the steppe, it asks us all a really simple but really powerful question. What wooden collar are you ready to break?